Hey everybody, this is Nick from Android Headlines, and this is the review of the Sony Xperia X. Over the years, Sony has been the absolute best about offering different sizes of devices for different customers, but never skimping on the specs. While most OEMs put cheaper and slower parts in the smaller models, Sony has traditionally offered 2 or 3 different sizes of its latest Xperia Z phones, but has outfitted them all with the same internals. This time around, they're changing up that formula a little bit by still offering 3 different phones, all the same 5-inch size though, and all using different internals and pricing them accordingly. The Xperia X is the middle child of the 3, and is the first to launch in the US at $549.99 on June 26th. The Xperia X is outfitted with a hexa-core Snapdragon 650 processor, which is paired with an Adreno 510 GPU. 3 gigs of RAM is found inside, as well as either 32 or 64 gigs of internal storage with a micro SD card slot on the side. Curiously enough, Sony reboots the phone when popping this dual SIM and micro SD card tray out, even though there's no adoptable storage found on the Xperia X. The 5-inch 1080p screen on the front delivers some absolutely gorgeous imagery that looks far more like an AMOLED screen than the IPS LCD panel that actually resides under the slightly curved glass panel. In fact, this might be one of the nicest IPS LCD panels I've ever seen on a phone. The colors are stark and rich, white balance is absolutely perfect, and the brightness levels are among the best I've seen on any phone this year. There's tons of options to adjust the screen to, and the X-Reality mode options make it look simply stunning to behold. Sony's omni-balance design makes a return here. In fact, you'll find it incredibly difficult to visually distinguish it from the Xperia Z5 that was launched just a few months ago. It even features that fogged glass looking back, which is supposedly made of metal, but feels like plastic in every single way. On the bright side, it's not slippery at all, and even the frame is ultra sturdy, and the weight balance is absolutely perfect thanks to the omni-balance design language. There's a dedicated camera shutter button here as expected, and it provides some amazing tactile feedback and quicker shots than software buttons can, not to mention a way to quickly launch the camera in 1 second flat no matter if the phone is on or off. In fact, this camera is probably the fastest one on the market. Only the Galaxy S7 matches it toe-to-toe in sheer launch speed and actually taking that picture. Focus times are not quite as lightning fast or accurate as the Galaxy S7, but they're faster than any laser-assisted autofocus smartphone on the market, especially if you use that dedicated shutter button. What's not so grand though is the quality, which falls behind every flagship release this year without a doubt. Sony touts this 23 megapixel sensor on the rear as its cutting-edge line, featuring ISO up to 12,800 and plenty other features that they talk about. What we find though is a phone not willing to actually bring this ISO above 1600 for whatever reason, even in pitch black conditions, and in manual mode that's severely lacking features. Most photos I took were overexposed, with the sky or other bright objects being completely blown out and having detail gone. Even many still images were overly blurry and just not great looking. That doesn't mean I didn't get great shots out of this thing like the one you see here, or a couple of other ones as well, but most of the time I had a very difficult time getting good shots out of the Xperia, and that's pretty darn disappointing in 2016. Video mode tries to be better with Sony's excellent image stabilization from previous Xperia Z phones, but software problems yet again seem to get in the way. At 1080p 60 frames a second, which is the highest quality the phone supports, the camera overheats within a minute and has to shut off. And at 1080p 30 frames a second, the quality of the bitrate is abnormally low and shows lots of compression artifacts in areas of movement. The excellent Xperia camera apps are here and just as good as ever, but the regular camera experience leaves a lot to be desired to say the least. Thankfully, the front-facing 13 megapixel camera is quite good, and those Xperia apps and augmented reality features and filters offer some really great experiences for those that love to take selfies and lots of them. This weird overheating problem with the camera is the only place where the Xperia X seems to disappoint in the performance area, which actually was pretty surprising given the Snapdragon 650 is just a renamed Snapdragon 618. Qualcomm's mid-range line has traditionally had a pretty far gulf in performance when comparing it to the upper range 800 series, but the inclusion of a better GPU and that Adreno 510 seems to all but make up for anything that might be lacking in those CPU cores. In fact, benchmarks show this one keeping up with the fall 2015 flagships in almost every way. VR performance is right up there with the best of them too, giving me the same frame rates and experiences as the Galaxy S7 Edge, and the quality of the screen helps a lot in this area too. It's got a higher persistence rate than Samsung's AMOLED displays, but it's not as high as most LCDs, and the fact that it's 1080p at 5 inches with a good pixel organization offers a crisp and clean picture for VR purposes. Battery life is pretty average in most cases, and having a 2620 mAh battery really doesn't help things much. Thankfully, Sony's battery saver modes are nothing short of excellent and offer ways to get that claimed 2-day battery life without sacrificing much. Even still, users who don't want to sacrifice anything will find a full day of heavy use is very difficult to get through, which also is a problem since there's no quick charging found in the Xperia X, another weird exclusion that's in pretty much every other flagship out there at this point. Audiophiles will be rejoicing at Sony's inclusion of not just 24-bit high-res audio support, but all the little tricks Sony has up its sleeve for enhancing and balancing even non-high-res audio as well. There's also plenty of wireless transmissions that offer much higher quality like LDAP and aptX, and you'll find that this is absolutely the best audio quality on any smartphone out there, bar none. The enhancements that can be made for regular music make it sound almost as stunning as true high-res audio too, which is impressive enough in and of itself. The stereo speakers on the front of the phone are also fantastic, although they're not the absolute best on the market. The HTC 10 speakers sound more full than these and provide wider range of audio, but these will likely eclipse any other speakers in sheer volume for sure. Some oddities in this year's design changes include no waterproofing, a feature that Sony has pioneered for years and for some bizarre reason seems to be content with removing, even though their largest competitor has re-added it to their flagship lines. Couple this with the fact that the Xperia X ships without a fingerprint sensor in its power button in the US, and you might be scratching your head as to how Sony thinks they can sell this one for $550 and still compete on the same level as many other OEMs. It's a good thing that high-res audio with its many features is still an expensive venture, and if you come to the Xperia X with expectations of the best audio experience you're going to get in a modern smartphone, the rest of these trade-offs won't hurt so much. With Sony increasingly quartering themselves into a niche market though, this could be a bit of a double-edged sword for them. The Xperia X is certainly an excellent phone and one that offers plenty of value, features, and quality design, but in many ways it's going to fall short of consumers' expectations, especially given the fact that the LG G5 can be had at the same price, and offers plenty of compelling reasons to choose it over Sony's latest. This one is simply a tough sell at this price, and that's not something Sony Mobile needs right now. We hope you enjoyed this video and will subscribe to us for more content. Be sure to click that subscribe button below and check more of our content out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, and of course, wherever you are, we are. Thanks for watching, and until next time.